नष्टप्रायेषु भद्रेषु नित्यं भागवत सेवया भगवती उत्तमा श्लोके भक्तिर्भवति नैष्टिकी कृष्णाय वासुदेवाय देवकी नंदनाय च नंदगोपकुमाराय गोविंदाय नमो नमः। So we'll go to 18th chapter. Maharaj Parichet ka Ashvaya Brahmana.
I want you to take the homework.
Yeah, we'll take it after the prayers.
Okay.
It's just introduction.
Yeah.
Om Agyantimirandasya Jnananjana-Salakaya Chakshurunmilitam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha Shri Chaitanya Manomishtam Sthapitam Yena Bhutale Swayam Rupa Kada Mayam Dadati Sapadantikam Vandeyam Shri Guruho Shri Uttapadakamalam Shri Gurun Vaishnavam Shri Rupam Sagar Jatam Sagana Raghunatham Tam Tam Sajivam Sarvetam Savadutam Parijana Saitam Krishna Chaitanya Devam Shri Radha Krishna Padan Sagana Lalita Shri Vishakam Vidamsa Namo Vishnupadaya Krishna Preshaya Bhutale Srimate Bhaktivedanta Swamiti Namane Namaste Saraswate Deve Gauravani Charane Nirvishesha Shunvadi Pasyate Visitarane Vanchagapadurasya Kripa Sindhu Evacha Patitanam Pavanyo Vaishnavyo Namo Namah Namo Mahavalanyaya Krishna Prem Pradayate Krishnaya Krishna Chaitanya Namne Gaurtase Namah He Krishna Karuna Sindhu Dīnbandhu Jagatpate Gopesa Gopika Radha Kanta Namaste Tapta Kanchan Gaurangi Shri Radhe Vrindavaneshwari Sute Devi Pranamami Haripriye नीराजन्यवासाय नित्याय परमात्मने बलभद्र सुभद्राभ्यां जगन्नाथाय ते नमः। जय श्री कृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभु नित्यानंद श्री अद्वैत गदाधर श्रीवासादि गौर भक्तवृंद। हरे कृष्णा 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 हरे हरे, हरे राम 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 हरे हरे। Okay, so we'll go to the homework also. Yeah, so some points for destination intended for the perpetrator is also intended for the identifier. So we got some points. Some do read some analysis.
Some doubt, some points also.
Okay, first you can tell points and then we'll discuss them.
Points in the pulpit was written like Ajami he just saw, and then he also fall victim to those things. So that was the point.
Some other points?
This is not from the book, but how I think was anything that you invest time, energy or something, if there is an investment, there is a return. So, if the investment is in that direction where it is not Krishna conscious, the returns are going to be non-Krishna conscious. So that's what I understood, but I wanted to know your viewpoint about this verse.
Yeah, we'll discuss that.
Yeah.
So this is something I remember in Isha Upanishad there is one mantra which says that like the people, the philosophers who are preaching nonsense philosophy, to whom they are preaching, those people will anyway go to hell, but those who are preaching, they'll go to the darkest regions of hell.
Madhvacharya's commentary on that particular verse. Yes.
So similarly, like even if you are not directly doing, like for brahmacharis also, you are not directly associating women, but you are associating with someone who is associating women, more dangerous. So in that sense, if you are intending, if you are also intended for the identifier, like it's the one thing is more, both are getting that.
Some other points? Some devotees wanted to add?
What I realized is as an observer, we could identify that both parties are involved. So third party, we can, in one sense, everyone in this world, they act according to the law of nature and not able to get any retribution in his actions unless it is in Krishna consciousness. And the same thing also, I think Maharaj Yudhishthira was once, he was telling Krishna about the difficulties they are going through. And that comes why they are put in such a situation.
I think it's similar to like knowing the difference when to give association and when to take association. Because if you're able to be in a situation where somebody is, you could say, orientated with like sort of a negative perspective, then instead of taking their association, you would just give yours. So that way, you're not actually taking in their qualities. So in defense of, let's say, the perpetrator being intended for the destination intended for the perpetrator, it's also intended for the identifier. But in that context, it can be counteracted by somebody that's strong-minded, because they wouldn't actually embody the habits. But it takes somebody that is quite advanced to be able to distinguish who to take association from and who to give association to.
Yeah. It's like we have to go on a higher level of consciousness. Okay, your question was there.
Here, like Raja, the whole series is going on. The king, Parikshit Maharaj, he has to first identify to punish someone. So if somebody is in that position, definitely he will do this one unless he will find out how he can punish. So how the law will be applied to that person. Second thing, the example which Ajamil has been given, So it's very quite often that in the Kali Yuga we encounter this kind of thing, and our mind is not so clear. What will be our destination also?
So first question, you can little bit more elaborate on the first question.
Like the king or the person who is in some position where he has to see, it's like we can say find fault. It will come the whole thing in that. So unless he sees that, then how he is going to rectify that?
Yeah. So anybody on an authoritative post, it is his duty to perform that. But unless and until that is a duty, we don't have to do that. So see, there is a duty and there is internal vision of understanding things. So for example, somebody comes and steals your things from your room. Now will you tell to the police that I don't know who came, maybe it was my own karma that went away? Will you speak like that to the police? If you do like that to the police, what are the consequences?
He will think that I am thief.
No, he may not think you are thief, but at least
Fake, right?
that person who is supposed to be punished is not getting punished. We are not helping in the law system. Then we become more entangled in karma. So we have to do our duty, whatever is the needful. Do the needful. That is one thing. That's from external point of view. But from an internal point of view or from a philosophical point of view, you have to understand that these all things are happening because of my own karma. This person is not responsible. So whatever is ought to be done, dutifully, externally, we have to do that. At the same time, we should not hold any internal grudges, understanding this is my own karma coming back. Makes sense? Like from king's point of view, he has to punish. Because that is the duty of a king. At the same time, internally he should not have grudges against that person. He is like this, like that, and he has to be destroyed, and no, he is the main person responsible.
And here I am seeing that the bull, the dharma, he is not saying. So, some authority comes and some ask what happened. He may also be like oblivion to this situation. I don't know.
You see, dharma is doing to show what internal thoughts would go in the mind of a person. It is not like a external action which one has to perform. In external actions are supposed to be as per the one's varna and ashram. A brahmana is supposed to forgive, but a kshatriya is supposed to act. And when a king is asking, then brahmana has to tell the whole incident, and these all things happened. But when we are talking here about dharma, the bull is talking about internal understanding of the whole incidents. That there can be different levels of causes for one's own misery. Make sense?
Little bit, but not fully, because if I give like this answer, then
You don't have to give all this answer for when police comes. When police comes and you have to give simple answer. But whatever dharma is speaking here, all those things should go in your mind. See, I'll give you a very gross example. Let us say you had fight with some brahmachari regarding some service. It's not like people know it happens in brahmacharya as well. May not be physical, but at least we have difference in opinion and all these things are there. And you saw that this person had done something wrong. So what should be the ideal action? External and internal. So external action should be that you go to the right authority so that he can rectify the situation. That is your duty as a brahmachari. At the same time, internally we should not hold grudges for this person. Internally we have to utilize or use Krishna conscious philosophy to make us understand that he is also a struggling sadhaka, I am also a struggling sadhaka. And because of certain anarthas, he has done all these things. But if he keeps on practicing Krishna consciousness, these things will go away. That's internal thought. What wrong devotees do many times, they don't speak to the right authority, they will speak to everyone else who should be reported. You have seen this phenomenon? It's like you have to supposed to speak to temple president. Rather than speaking to temple president, you speak to everyone. Hey, he's like that, no, he did like this, he did like that. So that means you are not doing your duty properly. Duty is to speak to the right authority, not to everyone else. So when we speak to everyone else, then there is a malicious intent many times. We want to defame and put down that person. Makes sense? So you'll find this general phenomena. It's not like within the whole Vaishnava community. This is something which is pretty bad, but does happen many times. We see something wrong, rather than speaking to the person who can repair or rectify the situation, we speak to everyone else. You speak to the right person, your duty is done. Now internally you understand this person is struggling sadhaka, and internally you understand whatever happened with me is my own karma. Then we can utilize all the philosophy of Bhagavad Gita and Bhagavatam with us. Makes sense?
Internally, externally, you see, he's a struggling sadhaka. Internally, it is the same thing can happen with me also.
Externally, now if you don't stop him, it might happen that he may cause some harm to someone else also.
Okay. And internally, what do you think?
Internally we understand, he is a struggling sadhaka, he is getting troubled by his anarthas. I also get troubled by my anarthas. So let me just tolerate, and ultimately he is the instrument of my misery. And then all the things which Dharma spoke about, that we are supposed to think. That we are supposed to think and deliberate. But externally we should do whatever rectify the situation.
So I will share. I mean, I was in that few years back. Something happened and I went all around talking about that individual to everybody, and that was my senior, my own god brother. Of course, that's Vaishnava brother. But as I understood things, and of course from Dharma thing, and it was the season of my cooking in the temple. I had that individual came from he caused some conflict somewhere, and he became a co-cook with me, and it was a difficult situation. But I had to give, of course I was disturbed, but I gave it a time. And my Shiksha Guru says awareness, acceptance and aspiration. So I saw his situation, his family, his children and everything. And I did not even speak to the senior. I stayed head on because I knew his challenges and I analyzed my challenges. And when I spoke in that non-violent communication where I spoke my needs. I acknowledged his needs. And it was like, I had nothing in my heart which was like, this way. It was like, we have to work it out together. And that individual also did not feel anything like, okay, I'm like, blaming. There was no blame or anything. So we both grew as, as good devotee friends because we cooked together for years. And now, so it is like, it is the time when I grew. And he grew in relationship as well as in Krishna consciousness, because he came from the restaurant to a devotee kitchen. So it was in that he had a big mess and everybody spoke amongst themselves, and it went to the authorities also, and he was pushed out. And his needs were also not addressed. And when you empathize with that individual's need also, he also calms down. He's not with his gun for ready to fight. I was not with my gun because I was clearly saying, I was expressing my concerns. And we really now we understand each other. So we have to really sit and analyze that side. We may not be also, but it takes a little maturity, because we both are grahasthas. He has his own, I am a grahastha, I have my 3 kids, he has his own 1 child. So when we analyzed it a little more peacefully, and not blaming but expressing the need part and empathizing rather than blaming, then it really resolves. There was no need for bringing in the authorities also. And then the relationship grew, my relationship with Krishna also grew. So this is what I felt. I was really disturbed, of course, but it took me time, at least a day or two. But it can.
Just a minute.
Yeah, sure.
हाँ हम लोग शाम को कॉल करेंगे क्लासेस वगैरह हैं.
So yeah, that was just an experience that I was reading these things.
Actually, it depends on gravity of situation and the person you are dealing with. Many times what happens is there are certain people, see in any relationship there is a conflict. Even the best of my friends today, there was some sort of conflict at some point of time. So that is there in every relationship. And there is a gravity of problem also. Certain problems are too strong, then they have to be reported. You can't do anything. Let us there is some fight while seva, okay.
No, but this was serious, you know. I mean, he was thrown out from somewhere,
Okay.
and he's our head cook because the manager will not touch him. You can't throw him out because he's a super cook. And like I'm a volunteer, so nobody touches me also. So I'm like we are like two big brains standing there, and like we had to deal. But it was so smooth and so nice. And of course nobody knew about it. It didn't go out, it didn't go anywhere. It was only between both of us and Krishna.
Yeah, that can work out, that's okay.
So that was something that, I mean, because I was reading this part specifically, I don't know how Krishna, I was reading and at that specific period. So it did help how Dharma has presented it. That's why I wanted to know more from you what you have experienced or you want to say about.
See, there are different levels of different types of people for me in so many years, and different types of levels of problems are there. So most of the things, as far as possible as a devotee, we should tolerate. But when we feel that it is going to create bigger trouble for the community, so in case it is going to create bigger trouble for the community, then we may have to inform. So, especially generally when some action is taken, it's not that for every small thing action is taken. Small things, actions are taken only when things are very, very grave. Small conflicts happen everywhere. So in such a situation, if we speak to higher authorities, then at least they are aware of the situation. And higher authorities are also not like foolish people, they are also intelligent people. They understand when we are speaking our own perception. This may be totally wrong also. But they understand things, and that is where our duty is done. Once that duty is done, then internally we should have hold no grudges for that person. That is the main thing. So we have varieties of devotees and varieties of things are there, and that is how it works. But main thing is whatever was spoken by Dharma is something we should internally deliberate upon. That is very important. If we don't deliberate upon those things internally, then we will hold grudges against that person. And those grudges, they keep on troubling us for years together many times. Like you must have seen that certain devotees are there, it's like, if we are not internally very clear, then you can't even see the face of that devotee. Now nobody is so bad you can't see his face, but it has happened many times. Right? So that is why this internal deliberation is very important. And externally, actions are taken as per time, place, circumstances, authority, rules. So that's like that varies a lot, and it depends on gravity of problem also. Like somebody is coming and stabbing people. Now you cannot say no, we should tolerate. No, Prabhu, actually now we should think from a dharma point of view. That's why internal deliberation. But externally when things are very grave, then we have to sometimes speak. Or let us say in cooking also, some things here and there are okay. But once our devotees, they went to one center where kitchen in charge was not there for 5-6 months.